Subscriptions. I'm sure you have one. The question is how many? Netflix, Spotify, Amazon Prime, Hulu. Do you even know everything you're subscribed to? I mean, I'd probably have to count. I'm going to dive into the impact the growing subscription economy is having on consumers, why we're stuck in this situation, and what is still yet to come. And they just keep getting more expensive. Why?
Remember when streaming services like Netflix first launched and the appeal was that they were cheaper than cable? Doesn't seem to be saving customers that much money anymore, and people are getting tired of all those expenses.
To understand what's happening to us, let's rewind a sec. It's 2013, you just signed up for your first Netflix subscription, and you're logging in to see what they have to offer. I mean, I can't remember a more exciting moment. There were all these shows at your fingertips, and the biggest thing, there were no ads. You could watch all of them uninhibited. It was amazing. And on top of that, they were cheap. It was only $8 for Netflix in 2013. That was amazing. And the variety that they had of content, it was just expansive. If a show came out, it was on Netflix within a few years of it coming out because people didn't really know how much they were worth. So Netflix just had access to the rights of these shows with no competition. It was amazing. Snap out of it. Dream's over. It's not 2013. It's 2024, and that is not at all what the subscription landscape is like anymore. I know, I hate to admit it, but it sucks. Now, Netflix, for example, is offering a few different tiers of their plans. They have their basic, and then their standard, and then their premium. The basic plan, it's $7, and it has ads. It's exactly what Netflix was in 2013 with less content. But it has ads, and it's $1 cheaper, yeah, but that's not at all compensating for that difference. When we look at that standard plan, which is the minimum and equivalent that they had to their 2013 offering, it's now $16 per month. That's twice as much. It's a 100% increase. That is so ridiculous. In just 10, 11 years, that is a lot more that we are paying. And on top of that, we're losing a lot of content off of Netflix too. So we're paying more money for less content. Think about it. We're losing shows like The Office, Mission Impossible, and Jaws 3. Okay, well, maybe not that last one. It's fine that they got rid of that. But for the most part, Netflix has less to offer, and we're paying more for it. And Netflix is by no means the only culprit here. A lot of these subscription services are doing the same thing, but Netflix is important to look to because they're kind of a leader in this space. A lot of what they do is what other people start doing. Now, this begs the question, how is this all happening? The subscription model is unique because it allows for us to pay for something that could be potentially expensive over a long period of time. Now we have a $120 Netflix payment. Imagine that was the case at the beginning of the year. You just upfront gave them $120. That's kind of a lot harder for some people to do or make that decision. It's a bigger purchase. There's a lot more barrier to entry. But by spacing it out over the course of the year, say you make it 12 $10 payments, $10 every month, it's a lot easier for us to say yes to that. $10, that's no biggie. I mean, seriously, if I can have all that, yeah, worth it. And the number of things I'm subscribed to just keeps growing. In fact, experts say that the average consumer is spending up to $219 per month on subscriptions. That's a lot of money to be spending every single month. And here's the catch. All these companies are getting away with these subscription models because we're hardly even realizing it. We're subscribing to all these things a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, and we don't pay attention to it. So Stanford economists looked into this, and they said that business revenues are from 14% to more than 200% higher than they would be if consumers were proactive about managing their unwanted accounts. So what does this mean? We're signing up for all these things, and we're forgetting about them. They're just charging us, and we're not even using it. And that's the nature of these subscription services. They're predatory and they suck. You have to be diligent to manage your expenses now. So there's a flood of people who subscribe to Netflix, Spotify, all these other services. They all joined in, especially during COVID. Everyone was joining, everyone was subscribing. These companies were getting massive influxes of users, massive jumps in their revenue, and their projections for growth were off the charts. But the problem is that growth wasn't sustainable. And when you're projecting insane growth and then it slows down, it's a bad look. So all these companies, they're struggling. They hired a lot of people, their expenses are really high, and their revenues aren't meeting what they thought they would anymore. So they're having to cut back. This is Netflix's annual revenue year over year from 2009 to 2022. If you look in 2009, you see that really small bar, and then you see how in 2022 it's a huge bar. Well, that's great. Investors love that. Wall Street loves that. Everyone loves that. That means that Netflix is growing, their revenue's going up, they're making more and more money every year. That's a sign of a good and healthy company, and they're doing everything they can to keep that happening. And where does Netflix get its revenue? Well, it's subscribers. And now, if we look at Netflix's growth of subscribers year over year, a deeper story begins to unfold. In 2013, we see that Netflix has the same thing, a very small amount of subscribers, and then it grows and grows and grows and grows until 2021. Bigger number, better company, amazing. We're happy. Wall Street's happy. Everybody is happy. But then it flatlined 2021 to 2022. Netflix was projecting really big growth. Now, this is a problem for them because they expected to be making more money. They told people they'd be making more money, and that plan switched. It wasn't like that anymore. So they had to start making revenue elsewhere. If they weren't getting more subscribers, how are they going to make it? They had to charge their existing subscribers more. We already saw that with the $8 hike to the $16 hike with Netflix. Additionally, they added a premium 4K option, which locks features, makes it so you can have more users, and a lot of people are going to go for that plan too. And that one was over $20, so they're making more profit margins there. In addition to this, Netflix is also passing on expenses to the consumer. In Florida, for example, we see that Netflix is now charging the Florida Communications Services tax starting February 15th. This is a 7.44% tax that Netflix was previously paying to the state of Florida, and now they're saying, we don't want to do that anymore. They figured that they could just charge that to Floridian consumers. This is just the first example we're seeing of this. We could see things like this popping up all over.
They realize that everything is more profitable for the companies if you can transform everything to some form of subscription service.
To this vision, we're moving from ownership to access.
We're not buying things anymore. We're not buying products. We're not buying stuff.
Now that we've subscribed to everything, we don't own anything. We just have a license, we rent it, we have access to it for a period of time. For example, Microsoft Office products, Adobe Suite. These are things that you used to be able to buy for $100, a couple $100, and now you rent it or you license it for $7 a month or $20 a month as a part of some larger package. And because we don't own these things, we're tied to the companies. They have power over us. They have a continual agreement with us that they can update on their own terms. And we don't get the thing that we wanted on the day we wanted, under the terms we wanted. You can't buy something on sale anymore on Black Friday. You can't buy a Christmas gift for a good deal because it was in June or July. You have to buy that subscription in July, and then you keep paying for that subscription. And the nature of subscriptions is that they can fluctuate. We've seen this with Netflix, as I've been saying. They raise their prices, so they become more expensive, and we still need that product. So we're paying more and more, and we don't have an alternative. Now, if you want to buy something, it has to be a subscription. That safe haven, that savior that it once was, is starting to go away, and it's becoming a bit of a liability, an obligation. As these walls close in on us, tighter and tighter, each month, we ask, is there a way out? I mean, not really. We're trapped with these subscriptions. That's the reality. 74% of households are using one of Netflix, Amazon Prime, or Hulu. That's the majority of Americans. We're pretty much all bound to this ecosystem. And on top of that, most people who have subscriptions have a lot of them. The average is 4.1 per household. For the time being, these trends are going to continue. We're going to keep seeing these companies raise their rates, we're going to see mergers, and we're going to see consolidation and trimming the fat. A lot of these companies that were just coasting by, they're not going to survive anymore. They're not having that headcount, that user growth that they all expected. Expect more things like the Paramount and Showtime merger, Disney and Hulu, and HBO Max and Warner Brothers to Max. Well, that's the plan for now. I hope they don't stick with that. It feels very Twitter-esque to me. I don't know why they do that one. This means that all their content's going to come together, their expenses are going to come together, and we're going to see these packages get bundled together by these mergers, and these companies are going to have bigger and better offerings, but that's also going to be more expensive for us, and maybe you don't want those changes. But there's no way out. That's the reality for right now. We're going to see a war over subscriptions. Companies are going to fight, and then the bad ones are going to lose. Hopefully, with the consolidation of all these businesses, they can all start to be a little more competitive. And once they get more competitive, their prices are going to have to be more competitive too. At some point, users are going to stop signing up for these services. And if there's a freer, cheaper alternative, we're going to use it. What I do is track all my expenses in a spreadsheet, and I check them all weekly, and I make sure that everything is paid. And I've also used those apps that go through and they check your recurring expenses, and then you can make sure that you don't have anything lingering. It's honestly worth the look because those $10 subscriptions, they add up, especially the $20 ones. That's $200 a year you could be saving. Go check. It's worth your time because things are not getting better. It's only going to get worse from here. And on that note, thanks for watching, especially if you have YouTube Premium. I'm sad that you're paying for it, but I do too. It's a good service. We're stuck. If you have any questions, leave them down below. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Subscriptions are a blessing and a curse. I hope they get better. They were great. I know they can be.